We've discussed a lot of things you can do systemically to set up a good growing environment, but we haven't talked a lot about the actual work of growing the plants and what to do and what to focus on when you're actually in that growing season, as we are here. So again, I want to reinforce that what we're trying to do is identify the limiting factors, the stress points, the deficiencies, and address those. That when we do that, when we identify what's inhibiting the biological system and provide it, that the system jumps to a higher level of vigor and vitality. So there's a number of different things that you can do as far as work in the growing season systemically and as a targeted measures, and I'd like to run through a number of those here in the next couple of segments. There are, from my perspective, the moment of planting or transplanting into the field is a very important period in time in a plant's life. Oftentimes it's a stress point. There's something called transplant shock, where plants, they'll stop growing, or they'll sometimes even regress for a week or 2 or 3 after being transplanted or planted into the field. And so that's a key moment when you can do a lot to systemically empower that plant in its entire life cycle. So I like to suggest that when you actually get around to putting your plants into the soil, whether it's your seeds or your transplants, that you do a couple of things. You want to make sure you have present in that root zone, in that environment, in the growing area, the bacterial and fungal species that we've discussed are critical for the biological symbiosis. It's nice to have some enzymes that can be used by the soil life to facilitate their objectives. I like to have a little bit of sea minerals, a little bit of sea water, or just the trace elements that are in seawater for conductivity and a broad spectrum trace element quotient. And I like to have some fairly available calcium and phosphorus for root development. So the trace elements, a little bit of electrical conductivity or charge, calcium and phosphorus for root development, and bacterial and fungal species in their fairly sophisticated degree. Those are all things that you can relatively easily access or even harvest from your own regional or local environment if you so choose, and are critical for establishing a vigorous and vital plant at the moment of planting. So that's one key time in the plant's life when you can have a significant beneficial effect. Other times in the plant's life, or things you can do systemically, are to monitor conductivity, monitor Brix. You can test and look at the plant's coloration, size of leaf, shape of leaf, color of leaf, all different aspects of the plant's growth, habit, and vigor can be looked at with some degree of insight and used to determine what's going on in the overall biological system. So we've got a number of key things you can do here. You can balance your soil minerals, you can look for a higher quality seed, you can inoculate your seed, you can work on your potting soil, and all these other kind of steps. These are all key, crucial steps that can be used to systemically improve plant overall vigor.